Welcome to the Discover Solutions Show, autoimmune warriors embracing joy each and every day. Join Ryanne and Dr. Pat as they address the good, the bad, the ugly, and most importantly, the joyful. Not only will you get tips, tricks, and tools to help you embrace your wellness journey, but they will share the experience with you. Tune in to explore the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional facets of having autoimmune. You will learn unique tools to help you maximize your life. Do not put your life and your joy on hold until you feel better. Feel better now by putting your life and joy first. Stay tuned, it all starts now.
Hey everyone, I want to welcome you. We have got a fabulous show for you today. You know, you've already heard a little bit about Ryanne, but there's a lot more to say. I want to make sure you all know that anytime during the show, after the show, the best way to really find out more is to reach out to Ryanne, and that is at discoversolutions.net. But during this show, write your questions down because there's one thing I know about Ryanne. She's going to be available to help you. Today, what we're talking about is our heroines. These are the people, our cheerleaders, our warriors. These are the folks out there, right? They have taken care of so many things. You know, back when 9/11 happened, I went back to my home city, New York, and I visited a center that was built by Tom Cruise. And he was helping people whose skin were falling off. But what about their mental health? You see, there's a lot of things we do with the body, right? Pill, potion, lotion, gels, whatever it is with the body. But is anybody asking you, how are you really? Well, that's Ryanne. Ryanne, right? I mean, you've heard this a gazillion times. Take a supplement, go to here, put the lotion on, get a surgery. But do we ever ask, how are you really doing?
You know, I think we've started to do that, Dr. Pat, a little bit more, but I think the people that we ask it of the least are the ones who need it the most. We look at our first responders, and particularly our female first responders, and I have to apologize for everyone listening because our intro says we're talking about autoimmune warriors. I've done kind of a shift here and I'm going back to my roots, and we are doing a program for our female first responders with my background of 7 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. I started out as a combat trauma specialist. I'm going back to being a combat trauma specialist. These women are out there day in, day out. We don't even have to think about it. We know they're going to be there. And yet they go out and they do their job, and then they're supposed to go home and be mothers and caretakers and wives and charming and sweet and baking, and that's quite the whiplash.
Yeah, I mean, because nothing else is stopping.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're out in the field. This is what you're doing, right?
That's
and
right.
Unless you have made extraordinary, I have a friend that's a first responder fire. And, everybody asks, well, what are you doing? What is it like? But nobody really stops and say, what's your other life like? And the answer
Absolutely.
is, I got to run that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was just speaking with one of my people, and she was saying she's so tired of dating because everyone who meets her just wants to ask her about her job. They want to know what she does.
I went
And
through the
then they
same
want to know
thing.
all
I'm
about it.
like, dating is, overrated. Okay, I'm saying that, but don't email me on that. That's a whole different show. But it's part of the conversation because there's a mental stress with that. To making the decision not to date, you're sacrificing something because there's something else that's really haunting you. Isn't that what this show's about?
Absolutely. It is exactly about that. How do you go from being the person with a gun pointed at you, for example, or being the person running into a burning building, being the person who's dealing with all of the injuries and taking care of the rest of us. And then, oh, shift's over. Now you're going out to dinner and you've got to get dressed up or not, whatever, but now you're expected to all of a sudden shift to everyday talk. Or worse, now everybody wants you to relive what you just experienced and they want to hear all about it when you just want to shut it out. You want to shut out the screams and you want to shut out the pictures and the memories and the smells and everything else, but people want you to relive it. So it's quite the contrast from day to day in life that these women are trying um, to deal with and to process, and they every day need to be at their best.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. That's why you're doing this, though, aren't you? Because you
Exactly.
realized, that there is such a gap in this area. And with your background, you're the best person to step up and fill that gap. That's why we're talking about it today, right?
Absolutely. And what I see happen is when people call me, they are already thinking, I'm going to lose my career. I can't do this anymore. What I've developed is a program for the women before they have to call me because they're afraid they're going to lose their career or their marriage or whatever. I want to get them in advance and I want to teach them the skills that help them make those transitions, help them embrace all different sides of themselves, and help them to be able to manage both sides, shining and thriving in their professional life and being the warriors that they are, and then being able to make that transition to also shine and thrive in their day-to-day life with their families, with their friends.
Yeah. Let's talk about this because you're really talking about creating a program that isn't just, wow, it's now happened. Now what? You're creating something, no fluff, no must, is to get people ready in advance because the idea is to avoid chaos.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, based on this is exciting. I'm really so thrilled you're doing this, right?
Thank you.
But let's talk about this because there are some jobs, that you have to be on high alert 24/7. And we don't talk about this enough of what the mental impact of that is. But if you have a job that you got your beeper, and yes, people are still using beepers, but your cell phone, whatever that is, that you are afraid to detach from you, that you got at your bed table, what the heck does that do to you?
It so infiltrates us that there are studies showing now that it changes our hormone levels because we have that constant influx of stress hormones, and even our physiology can't turn it off eventually. So you throw off the hormones, which of course are our neurotransmitters as well. And now what do you do? So it is just such a challenge. And I will never say women don't take these jobs. Of course not. I say, let's go out and kick butt, and then let's learn how to manage that dichotomy.
Yeah. In the world that you're stepping back into, let me just say that it's not that you've left it.
No.
It's that you had a very other important direction, equally important.
Mhm.
But now you must be seeing headlines. I mean, who didn't see the headlines from the fires in California? That's just
Right.
one place. But
Mhm.
hurricanes, I mean, we're seeing it left and right. And, let's talk about this for a minute. What is it that you're going to help with, right? To bring people to? How do you help with this hypervigilance that doesn't shut off?
When you think about it, hypervigilance is their exceptional training. And I'm not trying to minimize the clinical side of it, but it's exceptional training to always be alert to what can go wrong, what can happen, what is happening. And so when we get out of that environment, turning that off, people come in, they feel broken because they're hyper vigilant. And I say, wait a minute, you're not broken. We just need to dial down that knob. We need to retrain your brain to find the other side of things. We need to, instead of looking at the headlines about the fires, look at the headlines that are talking about good stories. I love Good News Network. go there. Look at your dog and how joyful your dog is to see you come home. Look at when you turn the water on, water comes out of the faucet. I mean, what a brilliant thing. After not having water for 2.5 weeks, I know how brilliant that is. We need to retrain ourselves to look at what's right, to balance the exceptional training they have for what's wrong or potentially going to be wrong. And it becomes more of a balancing act and more of a tweaking instead of an I'm broken, we need to fix it.
I mean, this is an exciting shift for you. This
Mhm.
is something that I just want to ask you, how does this feel to have come to the realization, this is where my passion is?
It feels like coming home. I never stopped seeing my first responders. I still do on the counseling side. And I realized when I did my LinkedIn page and all of the information about autoimmune, when people kept contacting me about combat trauma, I thought, here's your sign. And it took a little bit to come to that acceptance of shifting gears back. And it's not going backwards, it's going back home.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be doing it again after, like I said, 7 years in the Middle
Mhm.
East and learning what it's like to be hypervigilant and then learning how challenging it can be to come home. That was the
Yeah.
reason that I went to school to do what
Yeah.
I do.
I want to ask you a question specifically about women because this is some interesting information you have. There are a lot of things out there and resources that perhaps were built for male responders.
Mhm.
What have we done to really address the women that are in the front line?
I have not found female specific. Now, I know in the state of Montana, there is a group of female officers that do a retreat every year, and I love that. But I haven't seen a whole lot just for women. And what I find is that when we're in our masculine, and I know, Dr. Pat, you understand this because of this creation that you've built with all of these people you manage and all of this information you disseminate. When you're in your masculine, when you've got a goal, when you've got a target, you are fully focused. But that takes a lot out of us after a while. And I remember when I was overseas, someone told me, you need to embrace your feminine more. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, just embrace your feminine more. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know what that means. So years later, I learned what that meant. And I learned more about diverse focus versus laser focus and those sorts of things. And those are part of the tools, some of the tools that I bring, because if we can't embrace our feminine mindset, and I'm not saying put on your dresses and your high heels, I'm saying this is a mindset. If we can't embrace that, we're going to struggle to recover. So just learning what that is and how to be okay with that and how to recognize it and appreciate it, that tool in itself can help these women to recover and re-energize and be ready to tackle the next day and put on their armor and go back to work. I
One
think
of the things, yeah, one of the things that's important to say here is this is the silent killer. Let's just talk about that for a minute.
the stress being the silent killer.
Yeah, and the silent killer that this happens for both men and women,
Mhm.
right? It's
Absolutely.
this thing though that I can't talk to my family about. I don't have any sense that my adrenals are spent. I gotta go, right? Now let's couple that with my family responsibilities. Buzzer goes off. I'm taking little Patty to the soccer game. Oh, and I'm not.
Mhm.
And let's say your partner is not a first responder. You see, this is the dynamic nature of what we are not talking about.
Right. right? And that's exactly it. You just said it right there, and I'm going to illuminate it in neon. We're not talking about it. And by we, I don't mean me. I mean the first responders. They are not talking about it. To put that on their family is not fair, right? So they don't talk to their family about it. But to talk to their coworkers can be a little dicey, because then they can be seen as weak, unable to do their job, toughen up, get over it, right? All of these responses. And if you can't get over it, bounce back, compartmentalize, then maybe we don't trust you as a partner. Maybe we don't
Right.
trust you on the team. So there's this catch-22 that goes on where, they're encouraged to talk about it, but if they do, it's kind of like, the weakest one in the pack, we might attack. And
Yeah.
so it's this very unique dynamic that I don't think you see in as many in other areas like you do in the military and in first responders. We're all one team, but if you're weak, we might attack you
Yeah.
subtly, but attack you nonetheless.
The thing that I want to loop back to now, too, especially I want to make sure we get it in. What does this look like? I mean, what does this look like in what you're offering? And what I mean by that is this is not a conversation that we're just chit-chatting about the problem. You have a solution. And I want to get to that because it's really important. It's not just about, oh, I got to build my muscles. No, yeah, your body, you got to do. If you're a first responder, you're working out every day, just saying. But that also depletes you. So how do you recover your energy? And going to sleep doesn't always do it. I had an interesting interview the other day with Heather Walcott, and she shared something to me I didn't know. She said, if you don't sleep Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to sleep in Saturday. No, you don't get that sleep back.
No,
We don't
no.
get the sleep back. So let's talk about the program. You're creating something. This is exciting, but you have put meat on the bones here.
Absolutely. And I was looking at a 12-week program, and someone said to me, if you were in pain and someone said, I can help you, but it's going to take 12 weeks. Would you pay for that? And I said, of course I'm going to pay for that. And they said, now, if you're in pain and I said, I can help you and it's going to take 6 weeks, would you pay the same amount of money? I said, I'd probably pay more. Now, it's not about the money, right? But that drove home. Let's pack this with information. Let's get them information as soon as possible. So we're doing a 6-week program. It is intensive. There are workbooks, there are support things, and they have a group. So they will meet once a week as a group. So they have like-minded people in their group. And we teach transitions. We teach vagal nerve resets. We teach the masculine versus the feminine. We teach all these tools that they take with them. They don't have to depend on me. They don't even have to depend on the other people in the course, although those other people are there for them and I'm there for them. So we teach these skill sets that I have found take people from, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose my career, to, wow, I've got this handled, but we're teaching it to them, hopefully, before they think they're going to lose their career.
Yeah. I mean, what we're really talking about here is, I mean, these are tools everybody should really plug into.
Absolutely.
But the bar is really raised higher for people that are on 24/7 alert.
Mhm.
It takes on an emotional, unless you know how to protect your peace. It takes on a physical, it takes on a mental, and for a lot of people, it takes on a spiritual. So what you're doing is setting up a way to build up that muscle of resilience, correct or not?
Absolutely.
All right, good.
Right on the point.
Yeah. Because when we do that, tell us what we will change in ourselves, if you could. My question, you understand my question, right?
I think so.
It's like, here we go, and we're same old, same old. Same old, same old. We're just moving right along and ain't going to get any better, but I can't walk away from it because they don't have a solution. So the solution that you're providing will change things for them. Give us a snapshot of what could change for someone.
In teaching and utilizing these tools, which we emphasize utilizing them, they're practical. They're not woo-woo. We curse in the group. We are very down to earth and we are very direct. And I can tell you, do this, cross this T, dot this I. This is how frequently you need to do it. Here's the tool to do it. So we provide these very practical tools that are grounded. And we teach them when to use them and how to use them. And then they can use them as needed as well. But with these tools, they can create those rituals. They can create those tools that help them to turn that switch on and turn the switch off. I don't want their switch off all the time. They're not going to be safe. We want them to be able to have full control over that switch on and off.
You know, we spent some time talking about this today, but I also want to get underneath a couple of things here. I know this is a short conversation, but there's much more to come from you.
Mm-hmm.
How do people find out about this program? And how do they pass the word on to others?
They can go to discoversolutions.net. I rebuilt the website and they can get on the waiting list for the beta launch. Now, the beta launch is going to have extra bonuses. It's going to have lower cost because I'm asking and looking for feedback. So they can get on there today, go to discoversolutions.net, fill it out, be on the waiting list, and then you will hear directly from me when we're ready to launch. You will be the first ones to get in and we can hit the ground running and just change everything.
So I want to take a minute to help people understand the critical nature of this. And this is the most important part because we don't say this. We don't talk about what is the consequence if you don't change something here. See, we don't. We're kind of like dancing around it. But in the work that I do, I will tell you in the world of recovery, drinking and using is what goes on because there is no other alternative. And I have found this not just, and you know this, look at where you were. You have such an experience. You don't know how to quiet your mind. You don't know how to ease your pain. And so why do we think that there's so much alcohol, narcotics, drug use for people that don't know how to do this? Ultimately, it gets so tough, they can't go on. So let's talk about what if nothing changes?
And isn't that a scary thought?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because when you think about it, if you immerse yourself in danger every single day, everything becomes dangerous and you don't live in peace. Your dreams are not peaceful. Your dreams go right to the danger. The nightmares can continue on and on and on. So but it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. We have tools to help modulate and modify. And that's it. It's not fixing things. It's modulating and modifying, which is what people do when they start using, right? They start to drink just to numb it, just to silence the voices. So we teach you other healthier tools that you can use at your disposal to silence those voices. And we're calling our new program Armor and Grace.
I love it. Let's talk about that title.
Mhm.
Tell us what the idea, what the passion purpose was beyond that title, because that's a powerful title.
Thank you very much. We know that either literally or metaphorically, you are putting on armor when you go to work. I remember my armor, it always sat in the corner, and there were days when I had to wear all my armor all day. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to take that armor off and you want to be able to embrace grace. So that's, again, this contrast. I love living in contrast. I think it's a beautiful thing. We can be, pardon me, I'm going to curse here. We can be kick-ass, and
Yeah.
yet we can also be soft and nurturing.
Yeah.
And neither of those places are weak. They both come from strength. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's what I encourage.
I want to say one thing though, and this is important for people to know. This is not because you've read a book. Of course you've read books. You experienced this.
Yes, ma'am.
To be in battle, to be in a war, to be anywhere close to anything with the word war.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything about that gives you a certified document that says, I know what this is like. And that's one of the most important things. When I said, you're the one to deliver this, I'm not. I can give people a whole lot of psychological mumbo jumbo, but ask me if that's what it's like to be in that state.
Right.
You're the one that knows it. You're the solution, and they are their own self-discovery pathway. You know, thank you so much. Again, please, how do people find out about this? And I want to encourage all of you listening, if you're thinking, not me. No, I want you to pass it on, because you know the pain that your friends, your family, your relatives are experiencing. You know it. They may not be saying it, but if you know anybody that's a first responder, it doesn't matter. If your friend or family, if they get in that ambulance every day and they're running out there taking care of people, these are the people that never really complain. I have never heard a first responder say, oh my God, no, they are there to save lives. And Ryanne is here to save their lives. Ryanne,
Thank you so much.
Boy, thank you so much. We're going to talk about this more.
I love this.
Again, last question, website, how do people sign up?
discoversolutions.net. Just sign up and you will be on the waiting list for the beta launch. You'll be the first to know when it launches and all the details.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryanne. We're going to take a short break. And for those of you out there, this is not just a one-time conversation. This is a movement. And this is something you're going to want to be part of. We're asking you for help. Please give out Ryanne's website. Please pass this on. I know you can't convince people to do this, but you can give them information. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Discover Solutions Show, Autoimmune Warriors Embracing Joy each and every day. For more support and understanding that autoimmune can often affect mental as well as physical health, tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where Ryanne Stellingwerf and Dr. Pat help you learn to see the positive, the gifts, and the blessings that surround you. Don't put your life and your joy on hold until you feel better. Feel better now by putting your life and your joy first. For more information about Ryanne, visit discoversolutions.net.